What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Prince. Once again, big shout out to both Chris and Stan. And indeed, we're up to the penultimate tune in the 80s compilation of Prince material that Chris sent. And once I get through that, as I think I mentioned in the last reaction, instead of going to Purple Rain next as I originally planned, I'm going to go through the compilation that Stan sent me of Prince material. After which I'm going to go through Purple Rain, and then we'll see where we can go with Prince after that. I did also want to mention to Stan, who sent me a lot of materials many months ago, that there's another thing he sent me that I'm going to start going through soon. Again, I'm just trying to balance everything, and there's a number of people who shared a lot of material, and I'm just trying to make sure that I can feasibly keep going through everything that I've started. So I do massively appreciate the patience from Stan and from Chris and from everybody else. But the next tune, the penultimate track in the 80s Prince compilation sent by Chris, is The Question of You. And once again, you is spelled in a sort of text message style, which is not the first time we've seen that in the tracks I've already gone through. It does suggest, by the way this one is listed, it says recorded in, is it 86 and 87 or 86 or 87? Okay, yeah, 86-87. So apparently this was recorded over multiple sessions, recording sessions perhaps. And the way that's listed suggests that maybe this didn't come out on any proper release. If it's sort of like, well, this was recorded during this period, and maybe it wasn't even a B-side, maybe it was just a track that was eventually, unused or not included on any official release. Ultimately, yeah, the question of you is a funny phrase, because it speaks to how they might relate to the narrator, the implied speaker. One is a question. I suppose you are a question to yourself. Very few people I think would claim to know everything about how they are, their behavior, their psychology. Ultimately, not to get into like Jungian psychology, but some argue that like you can't know everything about yourself because you, unlike other people, can't see from the outside and how the cumulative effect looks. Now, that fair to say they don't know what it's like to be inside. So there's does anyone know a person fully, even that person themselves? But the question of you, it speaks like at least implied, and as the way my brain sees it, it implies the presence of multiple people, and it's a question of like, okay, so what is it about you? What are you all about? How might you relate to me? How, likely is this? It feels like the beginning of an interaction between people, maybe, depending on what the answer to that question is. I do wonder, once again, whether we'll hear Prince do multiple characters, multiple voices, and, different vocal idioms to portray those characters, which, I'll just keep saying it. I had no idea of the, let's say, theatrical quality of some of his music, even knowing a few of his hits going into this deep dive. So, once again, if this gets blocked on YouTube, I'm going to put it up on Patreon and, make the video public. It does feel like this is a deep dive where that will continually be an issue. So, I know that, like, the modern like licensing controls and so on of his catalog is not, it's something that he is no longer involved in. So I wonder why it seems so stringent compared to some other artists. But either way, let's listen. This is The Question of You, once again, you being the capital letter, and it's recorded between 86 and 87, and it's included in a compilation of 80s tunes from Prince provided by a friend of the channel, Chris. Mystery. That's crazy. I love the instrumentation. I love the sonics. I love the blending of some different flavors, some different like genre sounds. Didn't really pick up on what it was lyrically that was happening, but it didn't really feel so much like different parts, people talking back and forth. It felt like maybe one perspective, and it was about their perspective of someone else. So yeah, basically it felt like maybe more of a one-sided song. Either way, I didn't quite pick up what was happening lyrically, but sonically that was fantastic. Vocally, yeah, it was another song where I listened to a couple in this session where the vocals sort of ran up to, I don't know, the 50 or 60% mark, and then the rest of it was just an instrumental jam for the remainder. Which I enjoy songs that do that. That just sort of, okay, we've laid down the lyrical and thematic ideas. Now let's express these sentiments through sonics, or at least get into jam mode, like building upon that. But again, like his guitar work, it's one thing. It's like, okay, so there's the notes for the guitar on the page, but to like, different guitarists have slightly different sounds when they hit the same sort of material, and which again, I listen to some groups where like they've had different guitarists over the. I'm thinking of Duran Duran right away. It's like Andy Taylor and then Warren and Dom and so on. They've had different guitarists, and then they play different songs from their history and live performances, and I've heard different live performances, and you can hear the difference. It's like it's the same riff, but they do it differently, or they add different stuff on top of it. So his guitar playing is incredible. It really is nice, and beyond what I realized, even knowing that he was like a multi-instrumental musician. So once again, shout out to him, RIP, shout out to Chris and to Stan, as I said. And yeah, one more to go on this, which sounds like it's going to be a bit of a journey. As I said, I just noticed the track's 11 minutes long, so we'll see what that's all about. And then we'll be on to the other compilation of Prince materials sent by Stan. So let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Peace.